Ready? Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone enjoyed a great Labor Day weekend and welcome back aboard from the week off last week. At this time, I will call to order the regular scheduled committee meeting for the Village of Midlothian, Wednesday, September 7th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Roll call, please. Clerk Moskowitz.
Trustee Burbatt.
Here.
Trustee Kami.
Here.
Trustee Crowley.
Here.
Trustee Hilly.
Here.
Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Killily.
Here.
Mayor LaRue.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, we have a pleasure of swearing in a new police officer for the Village of Midlothian. If Antonio Estrella could come forward.
Good, how are you? Good. You raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
Antonio Estrella,
Having been appointed
having been appointed
to the position
to the position
of full-time probationary police officer
of full-time probationary police officer
in the Village of Midlothian
in the Village of Midlothian
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
aforesaid do solemnly swear
I foreswear to solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the ordinances of the Village of Midlothian,
and the ordinances of the Village of Midlothian,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the position
of the position
of probationary full-time police
of
officer
probation full-time police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Yes, we want to take
Yes. Just don't poke me.
Firemen will stay on for all day taking pictures.
Oh, Brenda, you want to come up here?
Brenda?
This way. Come back up here.
Do I look a lot taller?
Sit.
Take a picture.
Anyone else?
All right. Awesome. Thank you guys. Thanks again, Mayor. Thank you, Chief.
Congratulations, Officer Estrella. We're very happy to have you here in the Village of Midlothian and look forward to seeing you a lot. If you would like to leave. That's a good time. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of the evening. All right, at this time, I will open the floor to public comment. We got a lot of people here tonight, so I'm asking that if you have a public comment, please stand, state your name and address. First come, first serve.
You want me to stay here?
We'd like you to come up. We're trying to get everything on mics and stuff. John's a stickler.
Hi,
Hi.
Julie Wilkins, 14960 Kilpatrick. And I'm here because I'm concerned about the senior village that's going to be going up behind my house. And I was wondering if you guys got any word from MWRD about where they're going to put their stormwater and the excess water coming out of this facility. Have you heard from them?
I'll let Trustee Keaveney address this.
Thank you. No, Julie, we have not. As far as I understand, the plans that were presented
the night that you and I went to the zoning hearing, those were not even final design plans. I believe that the village, or not the village, I'm sorry, I believe that the property owner still has to finalize their design plans and send them to the village for permit review. And at that time, then they'll be sent to MWRD. So I'm not even aware that MWRD has this on their radar yet, that they're even aware of it. But what I'm gonna do is follow up with the village, follow up with the mayor and with the building department and find out what the status is and find out if the owner has submitted final plans to them yet. So what I understand, if you recall the night that we were at the zoning hearing, one of the zoning board members voted against the project because the plans that were presented to them were not even final plans. They were preliminary
But the
plans.
mayor and the alderman voted to.
Right, they voted to approve the project,
Right.
but the project still has to go through the normal channels through the village. They approved the project in theory,
Mhm.
but it's still up to the property owner to submit final architectural drawings.
Did you find out about annexing the unincorporated property?
I don't know, I mean, I'm not sure how that works. I believe that they're gonna annex it because it's unincorporated right now. And I believe the night that the board, I looked through all of the documents that were on their agenda for that evening. And there were several ordinances with regards to this property. One of them was an ordinance to approve the village's adoption, one of the ordinances was for the village to approve the annexation of that property to the village. I don't know what the legal steps are. Once the village board approves the annexation, I don't know what legal steps they have to go through to actually get it out of the township, off the township roll and incorporate it into the city. Attorney Valdez, can you maybe weigh in on that a little bit? And
Well, they're going to have to follow the statute, and I don't know that we have gotten to the
talking to my,
Yep. They're going to have to follow the statute quite closely, and at this time, I don't know that the board's indication that they want to move forward with that is different and separate from the actual statutory process.
no, I understand that, but I believe one of the ordinances they adopted was part of their formal process to say, yes, the village wants to annex that property.
And-
So then do they have to go to the state or the county to then file the paperwork to get it to become city property?
Correct, they have to file the paperwork and
But with
provide
who?
all the proper notices.
Who do they file it with? The county, the state?
I
all of
believe
them?
that's going to be with the county.
Okay.
Wouldn't it make more sense for Midlothian to try to annex that property, then we'd have to give them permission to put the building there?
Right.
The problem would be the water and sewer would come from Oak Forest, not us, so that's why they chose Oak
Did
Forest.
you, as a mayor, talk to the Oak Forest mayor and tell him your concerns about, like, this flooding project we just went through and all the residents that flood?
We actually, at our last Natalie Creek Trail meeting, Oak Forest was here, and also the engineer involved in the project stressed very highly. Good news is that the engineer that's with the project is close to Midlothian, has worked with Midlothian, so he knows Midlothian, and stressed very highly that the concerns we have about the stormwater, and they completely understood. We also engaged our village attorney to follow or be a part of the process so that we actually have our village engineers, so that they're looking at the project so that they know that if they see anything that is not acceptable, we will certainly do everything we can to stop it until it gets corrected. So we have been talking to Oak Forest.
Okay, yeah, we have other concerns about the weeds along the creek that have not been cleaned up, that we were promised that there was gonna be something done. I mean, I took care of mine my own self, and I have invoices that I can show you that, I mean, it's costing me money to clean up the mess that MWRD made, and I know it was for the greater good, but I'll let Bernie take that part.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Bernie Mack. I'm at 14940 South Kilpatrick Avenue. And as you know, our properties, my neighbors are here with us, are up against Natalie Creek. And we're just here because we kind of would like an update. We've been told a lot of promises since this project started, even before it started. Things like it's going to look better or as good as, and that hasn't happened. I wake up in the morning, we wake up in the morning, and we look at it, and we just see a bunch of weeds. We go to bed at night, and we look at it, and we see the weeds. I was mowing the other day, what's left of my backyard, and it's just a bunch of weeds. So we're kind of up here hoping that we can move in some direction. We were told that there was going to be some company that was going to be hired to kind of work on the backyard. We saw one person out there once. And the other thing that's kind of concerning is the last bit of correspondence I've had, replies to emails or texts, or even Facebook messages, was on June 2nd. And now it's going into September, and we're kind of hoping that we get some kind of update. We've been very patient about this, and we just don't know, should we take matters into our own hands? Should I be back there mowing it? I don't have the equipment for that, but should I hire someone to do that? We just don't know where we stand, and what can we do about that?
Bernie, I do apologize. I know you sent me a text message, and I believe I did forget to respond to you. As everybody knows, I sent an email to MWRD several months ago, and nobody has responded.
That was the
And-
June 2nd. Yes.
Okay, and then recently, when we had the big rain several weeks ago, part of the Natalie Creek improvements failed. They did not work, and there was water backup onto one of the streets that had caused flooding. About a week or so after that happened, the MWRD engineer came out and to speak with Public Works Superintendent Joe Sperry to review that, and I had asked Joe during that meeting if he would confirm with MWRD if, in fact, MWRD still is in control of the project, or if they've turned it over to the village, because the mayor and I have not gotten any update from MWRD either. And the MWRD engineer did confirm to Joe that they are still in control of the project. It's not been turned over to the village. So my next step is to send another email to the entire MWRD board, and then copy as many of the residents as I have emails for. If you can get me email addresses for all the residents, once I send the initial email, you guys all want to follow up and send your own emails to them along with pictures. At this point, I don't really know what else we can do. I
They
mean,
they did hire a company to control the weeds, so to speak.
Who did?
MWD did.
Really?
Has a
When?
person contractor that does,
When?
that's part of the project. It's part of,
But Gary, MWRD hasn't sent one vendor over to their backyard.
I didn't say they showed up.
I know.
I'm just saying,
but-
they're paying someone to do this.
But that's the problem. They're not showing up, they're not doing anything. The
Okay.
vendor that the village engaged with through OAI to manage our rain garden
Right.
is having their same vendor manage their backyards. But they're managing their backyard the same way they're managing our rain garden. And they're
Right.
two totally different types of
That's what she said.
Yeah.
situations. I mean, our prairie garden is supposed to look the way it looks. Their
Right.
backyard's not
Right.
supposed to look the way it
And
looks.
everyone up here agrees with you. There's not one person up here that does not agree with what you're saying. It looks terrible. It is not what we expected. It's not, certainly not what you
So
expected.
I've been in contact with
Yeah,
MWRD the
things.
past couple of years. And the last month or so, I was talking to Richard, who was working with one of the commissioners. He's not replying to me for now.
That I've been in contact with that same Richard. He called me and left me a voicemail. I've called and left him 3, and he's not returned my
So
phone call.
something's- Yeah,
So,
so I don't know what we should do, and that's kind of why we're here.
mhm,
Or we don't know what to do, I should say.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed with the MWRD board at this point, because I would have thought as a village board member to MWRD commissioner, kind of at the similar playing field, that they would have at least responded back to me instead of having one of their assistants respond back, and I've not heard anything from them either, so,
Can I say something real quick?
yeah.
I thought MWRD turned it over to the village, now it was the village's responsibility.
they
That's
haven't.
what I was told by you guys.
No.
And then you guys hired an outside company to.
No, we're waiting for them to turn it over to us. The village is not in control of that project yet.
Oh,
It's
okay.
still with MWRD. We just took matters into our own hands and hired somebody to help us manage it because it was such a mess.
Well, you guys hired someone to do nothing then, because nothing's been done.
Well, the problem is that the people who are taking care of it right now are taking care of it. They're looking at it as a naturalized area. They're looking at it as a naturalized area, and they're treating it very similar to the way they treat our rain garden. Well, our rain garden over here is a prairie garden. Your backyard was not meant to look like our prairie garden. and that's what's there. And believe it or not, the gentleman's been there 3 times. He's been there 3 times, and he's pulled out some invasive species, and he says, this is here and that's there, and we have to let this stuff grow, and it needs to germinate, and next season it'll look better. I'm like, you don't understand. It's never gonna look better. It's not, you know, stuff that's supposed to be blooming in there. I don't know if anything's bloomed.
No,
Is anything
it's just,
bloomed?
there's garbage in there, Kathy.
Yeah.
Should we just clean it up ourselves and send the invoices to MWRD? I mean, we shouldn't have to pay for this.
No, you shouldn't. As soon as it,
And I already
Right.
did. I already put a lot of money into my backyard, because I just mowed it all down.
Mhm.
I would, if you have pictures before and after, I think that's certainly a route to take, because as Trustee Katie said, we're going to continue to step this up, and now we're going to go to the whole Board of Commissioners. I mean,
Yeah.
Right, so I have sent, Kathleen, you have the email thread I have with the
Yes.
village, I'm sorry, with MWRD, you have the pictures of before and after.
And that's the email that I sent to those 3
Right,
commissioners who have
and
not
my concern
responded.
is, my reply I always get from MWRD is, that's what was in the plans. That's what they keep going back to, and that's really what they're sticking to.
What the problem the commissioners have is that they're relying on what their engineers are telling them. They're saying that was in the plan. I believe that was all signed off on before I became a trustee, right? It was signed off before 2017. The problem is that you look at these plans, it's 100 pages of plans. And when you go, and I asked them to send me I asked one engineer to send me a landscape plan. You know what he sent me? He sent me a file that was so big my computer wouldn't open it. And thought that, maybe they thought that I wasn't smart enough to figure out how to open up that document and read through plans. But guess what? I did, and I found the landscape plan, and all the landscape plan is, it references, you know, seed groups that they're gonna plant. It's not real specific. And what really, really sucks about the whole thing is that the easement documents that the residents were asked to sign were not specific. It referenced plantings. So I feel, I really, and I hate to say it because MWRD has done a great job globally as a whole on taking on this project and helping us mitigate this flood problem, but that doesn't mean that they get a pass and can plant the shit that they planted in these people's backyards. It looks terrible.
Oh,
Sorry for my language.
My recollection was that the easement document, and did you guys, before you signed it, you read it, right?
Of course they did.
But it was-
But you remember that it did say that it would return the property back to its, as good as its original position.
As good or better.
Were these weeds there before?
No, they had grass.
Then it's really not nuclear science, then they are in violation of the
So-
easement agreement.
Maybe we need to have a meeting, invite them to a meeting here and have the residents come and talk to them, and with us there, and
I
at least
would-
be able to express it back and forth.
I would also suggest that in the primary election back in June, 2 new commissioners were nominated and will be elected. One of them is from Crestwood, who lives no more than 2 miles from where we're right here. I'm sure if you contacted her, she won't take office until November, but that's probably the quickest way, because when a commissioner goes to the engineers and goes to the project managers and says, I want answers to these questions that you're asking, the commissioner gets them.
So my last thought is, what should we do? And then also, what are you guys going to do? I mean, moving forward on this?
Well, like I said, I will work on the email this evening and get it out to everybody. If you guys can give me, I mean, I have a couple of your email addresses. I don't have everybody's. Do you have everybody's email on the whole block?
We can send it, yep.
Okay, if you can send me everybody's email on the whole block, I'll copy all the residents and send it to them. And then if you guys all pile on and get everybody to respond, hit reply all, so that every commissioner gets it. There are a couple of commissioners who creatively have their emails set up so that you get an automatic reply back. And they say, if you need to talk about this, you need to reach out to this person. If you want to talk about this subject matter, you need to reach out to this person. So I'll try and scrub through some of those and get those people, get those individuals' names in the email as well.
I would also encourage you to contact the Democratic nominee in November, and that's village trustee, Teresa Flynn. She's actually an employee of the MWRD, and she probably has the status, well, I'm certain she has the status to inquire now. And the sooner you get a commissioner inquiring, the sooner you're going to get a response.
Wait,
So,
is Teresa Flynn going to be the new commissioner, or is she an employee?
no, she's going to be a new commissioner.
She's going to be the new commissioner.
You said she was an employee.
Now she's an employee, but
She's an employee now
But she will be in November
A commissioner.
a commissioner.
Okay.
And she's in Crestwood. She could literally drive to your property in less than 4 minutes and take a look at it. And I think she knows everyone there, and she's going to be a commissioner. My belief is that that would be the quickest action to get a response fast, because she's technically still up for election in November.
Okay.
Did one more wait if the mayor contacted him?
Sure.
I have definitely contacted him, along with Superintendent Sperry. We've met in person, on site. We hear the same thing you hear. That was what was planned, and we agree with you. We wholeheartedly,
Do we have a copy of an easement agreement?
Yes.
I do.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so we know what it said.
Yes, I know
okay,
exactly what
all
it
right.
says. And it says in the easement agreement that MWRD is responsible for the maintenance of the entire creek project until they turn the creek project over to the village. They've not turned it over to the village, and they have not sent one person over there to pull one weed out of that backyard. Not one.
okay.
They've done zero
Okay.
for maintenance.
Anyone else have anything tonight?
Same thing like my neighbor said about the backyard, but I'm concerned too because Kathy, you said, what Julie said before about the village for the older people is gonna get built, but you know, you said that Natalie Creek is not completed yet, right? 100%. So there's
I
some
believe-
risks for us, and
Yes,
you know,
absolutely there are.
so
Especially since part of the Natalie
spending
Creek
so much money
improvements
for
didn't
the
work.
project, you know, like, how
Mhm.
do we see that, you know, like, and I feel like we keep hearing the same thing over and over from A to B, and like, we're not getting anywhere, and I
Mhm.
think mayor should help us out more
Mhm.
in that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
No, you go ahead. I have a whole list, I'm sorry, I'll try to go fast. Who maintains the metro lots?
As far as
I'm
what?
sorry, Sandy Ford does,
I know.
or 4939 knots.
As far as what?
Lights.
Lights would most likely be Metro. They do the snow plowing and the actual parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think every metro lot here has at least one light out. I think one has 4.
Some lots are ours that we'll have to take care of.
Okay.
But we'll have to get a,
I'll get you one.
Okay.
Okay. Can we get a garbage can by the bus shelter by White Castle? Can we put one of the blue cans, or no, because it's Cicero? And those only go on 147 for the glass?
I'll have to ask. I don't know.
Okay, because there's always, the landscapers that take care of White Castle do a really good job, but there's always garbage there. And I had emailed you, I don't know who, maybe trustee Millie, that there's always shopping carts there and garbage, and they picked that all up, and now there's garbage all over again. So that bus stop definitely needs a garbage can. Is there alcohol allowed at the gazebo?
No.
Okay. Can we put a sign in the gazebo, no alcohol? I sat Saturday on 147th waiting for a train, watched 2 gentlemen walk from the liquor store with 2 giant bags right across the gazebo. I went and did what I needed to do, came back, and they were sitting in the gazebo drinking. And every time I walk by the gazebo on the weekend.
Our police department was informed of some issues there, and they were going to step up patrols. Is that correct?
Yes.
Chief?
Yeah,
Do you think we
put
could maybe put a no alcohol or?
Sure.
Some kind of sign in there? Back to the flooding. The annex is just for the corner south of the creek for those 2 properties.
Well, the lot is approximately 4.3 acres. The creek runs right through it.
So it's the whole property?
It's the whole property, north and south of the
Okay.
creek. The property where the apartment building, the senior apartment building is gonna go is on the north side of
Right,
the
that I
creek.
know. Okay.
The preliminary plan that we had seen showed that they did have an underground storage tank
Right.
to capture some of the rainwater, but then there were pipes that went right into the creek. The other issue to that is that they don't have any plan to develop yet the south half of that lot. That was for future development. They were gonna put in some kind of commercial pad and parking lot, but I would assume they would have to have some sort of underground tank as well, but probably still gonna have pipes draining it into the creek, which is a problem.
That's
I
what we
mean,
had talked about.
water has been falling on that property for, I don't know, the last 30 years, but it's all dirt and grass and trees. Now they're gonna put asphalt on top of it. So, you know, that's a big problem.
Right, and I just want to state, MWRD has done a great job, but all of this is a little disappointing.
Yes.
So that makes me a little bit skeptical about them overseeing the new senior living facility and the
Exactly.
shopping, restaurant, whatever's going to be there. Okay, I have a couple other things. The GovHR, have we used them before?
Yes.
We have. 2018? I tried to look back. Did we use them before in 2018?
We've used that before.
For what?
Recruiting.
Oh, I'm sorry, GovHR. Yes, we did.
Okay. And did it
When you said GovHR,
GovQA.
I was
GovHR,
thinking of
not
GovQA.
QA.
I was
I'm
thinking
sorry.
of something else. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yes,
did it
we
result
did.
in hiring? Does anybody?
It did result in us getting about 3 or 4 applications. And Superintendent Weinert's application came in outside of that. It did not come through GovHR.
Okay, that was my question. The assistant treasurer position, the other position that's a created position, that's a new position?
It's actually a retitling of an existing position.
Okay.
It was held by a full-time employee, and we retitled it and added different clear qualifications.
Okay. And the events committee, the Oktoberfest on the 17th?
Yes,
Is it 8 hours of alcohol, 12 to 8?
we are shutting things down at 7 o'clock. We have communicated to every vendor, both selling food and or drinks, and the drinks also include pop, water, beer. 7 o'clock, we're cutting everything off. We want everything cleaned up and taken down by 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock, everybody needs to go home, but they can't stay there.
What does the staff look like for 7 hours of alcohol?
We have 6 employees.
That's a lot for 7 hours. Wow. And I guess my final thing would be nothing against the events committee or Oktoberfest. I think it's just a little disheartening that we got the events committee, everyone together, and we have an event already planned, and we still have no economic development committee. I would think that the economic development committee would, I know it's going to be more detailed and it's going to take a lot of work. I'm not saying that nobody's putting in any work for the events committee, but it just doesn't look great that we have an events committee that's already doing things and we still don't have the economic development committee. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Rita Sardi, 14833 Kildare. Backing up on Sandy, I was going to say the same thing, why we have an events committee before we have an economic development committee. It just doesn't seem like we're going on the right path. Also, who is paying for this Oktoberfest? There's going to be a DJ and we have to pay, I'm sure we're paying these officers to be there. And everything else, who's paying for this?
Rita, I'd like to address you for that. So in terms of who's paying for it, the DJ has volunteered his time. He has asked that we provide his electricity. So I think in the big scheme of things, that's a minimal ask for it. Every vendor is paying us, who is a vendor of food and or beverages, is paying us $50. Other vendors, we have 5 vendors that are just vendors, they're paying us $25. The Park District is providing the chairs and the tables, and the Public Works Office area will come and get it. We'll be doing that. We're hoping to get a tent, and we are asking for donations from businesses within town. So our cost for porta potties will be $390. The village will do that. We have a budget of $1,500 for the events committee, so those funds will come out. I'm also hoping with the other businesses that we do get more money in, that we can offset some of these costs. We're being very economical about what we're doing. We understand that, you know, it takes money to put on events, but we're trying to be very conservative with what we're spending. We are hoping that people will be generous with this. Is there anything else I can answer?
I've been trying for years to get events going at the Village Green and our Metro lots. They sit empty on weekends while we watch other towns have festivals and concerts and food truck festival, I mean, all kinds of stuff. So I'm not opposed to the village spending some money to throw events for our residents, while other towns around us do it all the time. So,
And also the bean bags are being donated. The bean bags and those boards are being donated. Trying to think of what else are we spending money. The members of the committee are going to have T-shirts. We are buying them ourselves. So we're trying to be wise with the funds that we've been given by the village.
Okay, and where are we on our economic development committee?
I'll answer that question.
Thank you. I cannot address that, but
Okay.
Trustee Kate, you
As-
can.
As you all know, we've been without a building superintendent since July 8th, so I've been, you know, spending time at the village, more time than usual at the village hall, just helping the staff out, keeping things going, and because of that, because of limited amount of time, I've been the one who's been delayed in launching the Economic Development Committee. I believe I mentioned at a village meeting before that we have 2 businesses who have already agreed to be business members. That was Dennis, who owns Gracie's and Cousins, and Mike, who owns Happy Days. And we've received 4 or 5 emails from residents who are interested. I've shared those with the mayor and with with Trustee Crowley, and we're going to be reviewing those next week and contacting those individuals to have meetings with them. So I'm hoping in the next month, you know, by the end of the month, that we will be able to appoint our entire team and then start having meetings.
and the Economic Development Committee will, as you state, be a very important committee to this village, especially as we get this TIF going and growing. We are bringing on a TIF council to advise the village that spend our money wisely and correctly and appropriately. So I don't think rushing putting together an Economic Development Committee is a smart idea. So I'm giving Trustee Katie the time to do it the right way.
We've been in office how long now? It's like,
Rita, before we were reelected this year, economic development was not my responsibility. That belonged to another trustee who's no longer on the board. And that trustee did nothing with economic development for the 4 years that I was first on the board. So that's where we are.
Excellent point. Anything else?
No, thank
Okay.
you.
Sure. Yeah.
Kirby Gagley, 145-27 Spalding. I'm up here crying again. Apparently, on the 26th of August, for 7 hours I listened to loud music. Called an officer over. He couldn't locate it, or I couldn't locate it, but possibly he did because it shut down. Fast forward to Sunday. Sunday was a bad day. Neighbors 2 doors over. I've been breaking bread with him for the last month or so. Very nice, this kind of family. All of a sudden, there's a mariachi band. And I do mean a mariachi band. I listened to it for about roughly an hour. Called an officer over. He came over, went over and spoke with him. I didn't know it was somebody's birthday party along with his children. And the officer came back and says they're going to shut down. Okay. He says, just one more song. That's okay. Half hour or so later, here we go again. It's still playing. That's a long song. Called the officer again. He says, they're not allowed. I said, they don't have a permit for this kind of stuff. I said, I'm 100 feet away from it. I said, when I call dispatch, she can hear it. I said, so, okay, one more song. He leaves. Comes back again. 40 minutes later, whatever. He says he's going to shut down. All right. Didn't happen. The fourth time I called, it almost turned into a little mess. Number one, there's people, they're calling people, I don't know who they call, they're parked on the street, standing on the sidewalk, listening to the mariachi band. I'm standing in my own driveway on the side, SUV pulls in, shuts his engine off. I said, can I help you? Ah, mariachi band, dude. I said, get out of here. I said, back off. I said, the cops are coming. I'm listening to Ben. I said, unless you want your ears put somewhere else, I said, get off. He backed off. By that time, the officer came up. Last song. Okay, not last song. The father seems pretty nice. He kept telling me, Fred, it's okay, it's okay. His one son comes up to me, oh, excuse me. The officer asked if I would sign the ticket. I said, yes, but I don't want them to get financially in trouble. They're having to pay. He said, well, if they start up one more time, he said, I'll write the ticket out. I said, fair enough. There comes the boy, he comes up. He says, one more. I said, not one more. He says, my birthday. I just told you, not one more. The older boy comes up, stares down at him, about 6'3". I'm looking up at him. He says, who do you think you are? At that time, it could have been mayor. The officer led me away. He says, leave it alone. He comes back, he says, we can't do anything because of civil rights. So, my purpose is this. What does civil rights have to do with him breaking the ordinance of the village? I'm going to jail, and he's going to still play mariachi? I just want an explanation of the civil rights of him being shut down.
What day was that? What day?
I think it's 20...
August 26th and 27th is what you
28th
said.
of August, I think it was. Hang on a minute here.
Day of the week was it?
20th of August, sir.
Let me look into it and I'll find out what actions were taken.
Right, I think the officer acted appropriately, but in my time, we pulled the plug, you're done. I mean, 4 times I have to call it in roughly 4.5, 5 hours. And this, wow, just the other day, this Labor Day, I've been on a nice block. I didn't call in, okay? I seem to be the crybaby of the neighborhood. The other thing is, the same guy that was supposedly cited for parking across the sidewalk, 2 doors over, was his truck. He still parks there, now he has an American flag in the back. So nothing against the flag, but the whole thing is, I mean, it's like melee in that area for some reason. I don't know why. Nobody's getting the whole picture here. Either I don't belong there, or they don't belong there, so to speak. I guess I'm just too old fashioned. We have rules here, right? We have ordinances. Why aren't they being enforced now? I was on the force part-time for 25 years.
That's the part I'll look into. They went there and they went there a second time. They should have written the ticket at that point. Now, I don't know what the officer would have told you, but my guess would be if they don't comply, we can't go in there and just start unplugging stuff or taking actions like that. It's an ordinance violation. So it could result in multiple tickets.
Well, see
That's what I'll find out and I'll let you know. And what did they do as far as parking enforcement?
right, and they, one more song. I mean, the officer came back.
Well, that's what I'll find out.
Right,
That was-
I thought he handled it correctly, and that's the 4th time he said, you want to sign the ticket? I said, absolutely. But I'd rather not burn my neighbors. I didn't want to do that.
Right, well, you shouldn't have to sign the ticket anyway. We could address that. So I'll look into it and I will get back to you, but proper protocol would be they get the one warning. If we got to come back, they're getting a ticket.
Well, this is
They,
4 times, chief.
well, that's the thing. If they don't shut it down, we can't go in there and start unplugging their stuff or seizing equipment. It's an ordinance violation. It's not criminal.
Okay, and I brought up about a home with 6 families in it, 145.59, that they're renting out the rooms for about $400. I thought we had a parking ordinance. They just park any way they want. It's on 146th and Home Avenue. They just park everywhere. And we're all in there. I mean, I don't know, it's starting to look like Chicago.
Don't say it.
That.
Please don't say it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? All right, then I will close the floor to public comment. Thank you all for all your great comments and questions. Moving on to trustee business, trustee Johnson.
Thank you, thank you, trustee. Sorry. Thank you, Mayor. On my agenda tonight, I have 2 sections of our employee manual that I asked the board to look at and approve. Section 2.11 through 2.20. Were there any questions regarding the policies for the employee manual?
Just a couple things that we had talked about in the emails back and forth.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay, great. For the second employee manual, Section 3, these were more policies related to HR policies for time off, for sick time, for other employee benefits. I know that we received some information and some questions, and I believe we've addressed many of them. I just wanted to know if there were any other questions, concerns, because this item and the prior one were both on my agenda for discussion tonight. And if there is really nothing else to discuss, I'd like to put it on the consent agenda next week, but I'm here to listen to anything.
You'll just make those couple corrections first, though?
Yes.
Okay. I'm good.
Were corrections related to Superintendent Sperry's
Yes.
question? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, there was
Sick
really
time,
only
sick
one
time and
that,
vacation.
Sick time and
Yes.
vacation time.
That was addressed.
there was really only one that needed to be,
Right.
that was addressed. The other ones were actually a benefit.
Okay.
The only one that was somewhat, what's the word I'm looking for? There was some discrepancy were the number of the number of vacation days after 15 years. Because when Trustee Brevett and Trustee Crawley and I came up with our list, I was sent information that on our common drive, there was another set of policies, but they weren't policies to say that after 15 years, you were entitled to more time. And then through Superintendent Sperry's, he had a policy in his area with different times. So this is kind of our challenge, is that every department of the village has their own vacation policy, and that's what we're trying to avoid, is to have different departments have different sets of days. So I'm trying to make sure that we're being consistent. I'm happy with whichever way we want to go. Again, we want to be fair and equitable to all the employees. We don't want to short them any of their time. So I just want to make sure that if there's any questions, or if we should move to make sure that we're consistent through all the different departments in terms of the number of days that the employees have off.
Yeah, the thing with the vacation, that was a decision from this board a number of years ago that 4 weeks was going to be the max.
Okay.
It was, the concern now is that there's a number of long-term employees that
Right.
already earned the 5 weeks, so we shouldn't take that away.
No.
Is that, okay,
Yeah.
then I'm good with that. Okay, anything else?
I just wanted to mention that I hope people will come to Oktoberfest next week, please. It is a good event. It's our first event, and maybe it was put together quickly, but yay team! Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Debbie, because these people work super hard to do this, and so I hope people will come out and even stay for a couple hours. We're not asking people to come for 7 or 8 hours and party and be stupid. We want this to be an opportunity to play bags, to listen to a DJ, to have some food, and have a community event. So please come out and participate. I promise you won't be disappointed. Then if you are disappointed, talk to me. Okay, the other question.
And I appreciate everything you guys are doing. I appreciate it, really.
I'm nervous. I'm like, hosting my first party. Like, will anybody show up? I hope people do.
Are you checking the weather every day?
Yes, it looks great so far, in the low 80s. And Don, this is a question for you. So I had a meeting this afternoon with the Park District. And the Park District was interested in who was responsible for the Christmas trees in the village green, the little ones.
There aren't any.
They stopped.
So I didn't know how to answer that, because they assumed because I was the event committee liaison that I was responsible for it. I said, ooh, I'll have to find out. So can you send an email to Jennifer
Okay.
and also Angela, because
Angela's who's right.
because they liked the Christmas trees and they were hoping that they were coming back, and I didn't know how to answer that.
The trees were donated by a vendor who
Okay.
doesn't donate them anymore.
Oh, okay.
So basically, there aren't any.
Oh, okay.
But, Trustee King-
But trustee, for the Rain Ready Garden, there is, because trustee buys them, right?
Well,
You
I
don't?
don't buy them anymore. I split the cost with the village now
Okay,
because
all
they're too
right.
expensive.
Okay,
So, yes.
okay.
So there'll be mini
We're
Christmas
gonna have our
trees.
10 trees out on the rain garden like we always do.
So Kathy, if the park district wanted to sponsor one of them, are they?
Absolutely, they could.
Okay, great. Great, that's good to know. So Don, can
Okay,
I
I'll take
ask
it-
you
I'll
to
take the
follow
ball.
up with them?
I'll take
Thank
them
you. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Excellent work. Trustee Burbat.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Hilly.
I just had two items included in the board docs, which I keep losing on my computer, so here it is. We received two quotes one from Legacy, one from Roy's, reference to the crack ceiling, seal coating, and striping of the fire station number 2 parking lot. Roy's quote came in at $1,664, and the Legacy quote was considerably more. I believe it was $1,000 more. Legacy came in at
$2,700.
I was looking for a motion to hire Royce to complete the work at Fire Station 2, not to exceed $1,664.
You're making that motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please. Clerk Moscow.
Trustee Hilly,
Aye.
Trustee Caveney,
Aye.
Trustee Burbatt,
Aye.
Trustee Crowley,
Aye.
Trustee Johnson,
Aye.
Trustee Killily.
I,
Motion carries.
And up for discussion is the purchase of a new sewer jet truck. Did anybody have any questions, concerns, comments about any of the documentation in reference to the new sewer jet truck? The total cost of standard came in as the low bid, and they're giving us $30,000 on the trade-in of the 20-plus-year-old sewer jet truck we currently have. Total cost would be $256,050. Also, Superintendent Sperry is recommending a 5-year warranty at a cost of $13,889. The purchase to lease documents are included in the board docs. And I believe after it's a yearly payment, it looks like a $56,110.80 under the lease to own for 5 years. Anybody have any questions?
No.
4.79 interest.
Yes, that's what it's,
Good. Good interest. Good interest rate, you think?
Superintendent Sperry, I presume, talked to Treasurer Britton about this.
this was a budgeted item.
Yeah. Well, I understand. I don't imagine we have $265,000 or $70,000 laying around. But always sort of like makes my skin crawl a little bit. They were spending $24,000 that goes out the window too for interest, so.
Can we pay it off early?
Not that there's an alternative, I'm just asking if, usually Superintendent Sperry, the first person he goes to is Maggie to talk about this. I'm just verifying that happened and there was communication there to,
Well, we're not putting out the $256,000, right? Yeah.
no, not right away, I know,
Right,
but
okay.
eventually $24,000 goes to interest, so. Which I don't know if there's an alternative, I'm just asking the question. Just as long as somebody asks the question and there's an answer coming back, I'm happy to. But 24,000 is, I don't want to say wasted money, because it's not. We need this new sewer jet, obviously, but it doesn't go towards, it's an addition to the purchase price.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I mean,
Yes, Superintendent Sperry did talk to Treasurer Britton about this.
Okay,
And it was included in the budget because we were able to find the money to do it, so.
okay.
there we go.
And again, my question is, can we, if the village can budget for it down the road in year 2 or 3 or 4, can we pay this off early and then save a little bit of interest?
I don't see anything that says you can't. We'll have to clarify that before approved.
Okay, I mean, if we buy it now on the payment, you know, and we go with the payment plan after a year or so, if we can pay it off early and save some interest, then I would not be opposed to that if there's enough money in the budget to do it. But unfortunately, you know, not everybody these days has $30,000 or $40,000 in the bank to buy a car, so they have to buy it with a loan. So the village is no different.
Right.
Anything else?
No, sir.
So that will go on the consent agenda next week?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Cavey.
Thank you, Mayor. First item on my list, there are 2 documents on the agenda. One is the zoning board hearing minutes from February 14th, 2022. This is with regards to property at 3741 147th Street. The owner of that property submitted an application to the zoning board of appeals for special use to open up a used car dealership pursuant to the village's zoning code in chapter 11, or title 11 rather. All, I believe, car dealerships in the zoning of B2 require special use. They applied for special use. The zoning board heard their hearing on February 14th. The zoning board approved their request with conditions, and before the zoning board meeting minutes could come to the village board for approval, the owner of the property withdrew their application. Last week, the owner's attorney contacted the village attorney and said that they would like to reinstate their application and have the zoning board minutes brought before the board for review, for approval. So at this time, I'm making a motion to approve the special use for a used car dealer at 3741 West 147th Street.
Is there a second? Seeing as no second, the motion dies on the floor.
Thank you. Next item on
Well,
my...
I'm sorry, but we specifically have to vote to not approve the motion, otherwise it carries. If we don't vote against it, then the recommendation or the approval of the zoning board carries the day.
Then it would be.
Is that right?
It would be a motion to deny the special use advanced by the zoning board.
Right. So I'm going to make that motion to deny the special use application for 3741 West 147th Street.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Killelea.
Aye.
Trustee Crowley.
Aye.
Trustee Burbette.
Aye.
Trustee Caveney.
Aye.
Trustee Hilly.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Anything else?
Next item, this is a motion to approve the GovHR recruiting agreement at a cost not to exceed $12,000, which is $8,000 for both positions, and the advertising cost not to exceed $4,000.
Did you make a motion?
I made the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please. Clerk Musko.
Trustee Caveney.
Aye.
Trustee Crowley.
Aye.
Trustee Burbette.
Aye.
Trustee Hilly.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Killelea.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Mayor and Deputy Clerk Kalaki, as soon as the mayor signs this document, if you could scan it and email it to me, and then I'll send it to GovHR in the morning. Thank you. Next item on my agenda, I'm making a motion to appoint Mark Surf as interim building superintendent with a temporary salary adjustment that we discussed in closed session.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please. Clerk Musko.
Trustee Caveney.
Aye.
Trustee Crowley.
Aye.
Trustee Burbette.
Aye.
Trustee Hilly.
Aye.
Trustee Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Killelea.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, the last thing that I want to discuss is the property at 14730 Costner, which is owned by Project Uplift. The village posted a sign. You may recall that the village hired Caitlin Sherrill's law firm to work with the village to help us pursue an emergency demolition order for this property. Prior to Superintendent Weinright's departure, he had the required notice sign prepared, and it was posted on the building on Friday, July 8th. I was there and I witnessed the posting myself. And there was some confusion with regards to the gentleman who owns the property. Well, actually, he's the executive director of Project Uplift. Just very confused because, he's claiming that Superintendent Weiner was not in the village on that day. When he was, he worked here till 5 o'clock. At any rate, Project Uplift is a nonprofit organization that owns the property. We all know the big mess that they left behind. The village's attorney had sent out the required notices to Project Uplift and to all of their service people that we were required to send it to, and they were given X amount of days to respond or file their own motion in court. I believe the due date or the final date was Monday, August 22nd. Monday, August 22nd, Project Uplift failed to file any paperwork with the court. Instead, they chose to send emails to myself, to Caitlin Sherrill, who is our outside counsel, to the building department staff, and then proceeded to call the building department and spoke to every staff member that week, claiming that he's being picked on, and why are you doing this, and why are you charging me $25,000 in fines, and we didn't leave garbage in the backyard, we cleaned it up, and somebody stole my car.
I'm sorry, he said there wasn't any garbage or rodents or anything in the backyard?
Correct.
Hold on.
Well, I can
Anyways.
I can say, I'd like to just add something. You happened to be on vacation that first week that it
Right.
became urgent.
Right.
Even more urgent than it's been the last how many
Right.
years.
Mm-hmm.
I personally was over there,
Mm-hmm.
and if that gentleman saw the pictures that were taken the day I was there, he should be ashamed of himself for saying
Absolutely, he
that.
should be. He said, well, the garbage was in the backyard and nobody could see it.
All right, briefly, real quick. Village attorney has advised me to advise you to not give or allude to a legal determination on this matter that is going to be in front of us. Updates are fine, just
Yeah,
shy away from.
I'm just providing an update.
Okay.
So at this point, because now the property owner has stepped forward, he has been communicating quite a bit with Caitlin Sherrill, who's our outside counsel. She advised that the village should not proceed with demolition. I believe he claimed in an email today that he had paperwork together that he was gonna file. Whether he has filed it or not, I have no idea. So, yeah, I don't know. So I don't know what his status is. I have no idea what he's gonna do. All I know is that I'm gonna continue to work with Attorney Valadez and with Attorney Caitlin Sherrill and pursue the village's remedies. So the village may need to move forward to now. Our next step is we may have to just go to Markham Courthouse and file our own petition directly with the court now. Before, we were following the Illinois statute that gave the village an emergency power by posting the sign on the property and sending notice to the property owner. If the property owner did not come forward, then the village, after so many days, had the right to hire a demolition crew and go and demolish the building. But now, because the property owner has stepped forward, we can no longer do that. Now we're required to go to court and actually file a motion with the court and ask the court to give us permission to do it. So that's kind of where we're at.
All right, thank you.
So I just wanted to give everybody that update.
Attorney Valadez is moaning over here next to me.
Mhm.
I don't know if he's got gas or.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Trustee Kiley.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to ask Trustee Kathy here if she wants to talk about 14723 Pulaski on the building.
Oh, the Honda building.
Since she carried the ball on this and actually did the work on it, if you want to give us an update, or if you want.
Well, I actually had misunderstood the original email that we had gotten from Denson, and I had thought that the court date was coming up. The court date actually already happened, and the judge issued a judicial deed directly to the land bank. So the land bank now owns the Honda building. So I still have not been in communication with them, and try and reach out to them next week and find out, what their plan is moving forward for marketing that property.
Let me take that.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll talk to the interim director
Okay.
of the land bank.
Oh, they've got
Mr.
an interim director now?
Yeah.
What happened to the director?
Moved on.
They moved, they didn't have enough people, so they hired another person to take care of that ball. But basically, the land bank's job is to, they want to sell the property. They'd like money too. And so that's what they're going to do. They're going to market it, but we'll find out a little bit more about it. And we don't know anything much more about the parking lot, do we?
No, the parking lot pins, I need to get those over to Caitlin.
Okay,
So that she
okay,
can start
all right.
the ball rolling on that
Okay,
process.
great. But our trustee Kaveny did a lot of work on this, a lot of meetings, a lot of time, a lot of effort. It wasn't just a couple weekends, it was a lot of days, a lot of months tracking this down. So thank you so much for your work on that.
You're welcome.
And the land bank's very happy too, thank you. And I want to remind everybody on September 13th, Tuesday at 6:30, there's going to be Natalie Creek Open House. The public is invited, encouraged, and, to come, see the displays, see the exhibits, talk to the people that are there if they have any questions. It's 12 miles of trail that is proposed, and it's going to do a great thing to connect actually Blue Island and Robbins, Crestwood, Oak Forest, Midlothian together. It starts in Oak Forest and goes all the way to Calsag Trail. So it's a great thing. The status of it is, I told the board before, is that they're waiting for IDOT to come back with the environmental comments. They don't think it's going to be any big trouble. Actually, I didn't realize too, but Claire Boulevard is going to be resurfaced also, right, Mayor?
Yes.
And that's going to be part of the trail and part of their reconstruction also, probably about the same time they're doing Pulaski. So it's at the Midlothian Park District, 4500 Costner, starting at 6:30. Come by, see what's going on. It would be a great addition to our area for bikers and hikers. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Looking forward to it. The team has been working on this for a long time. There's going to be lots of great pictures and a lot of information there for people to absorb, so I'm looking forward to it. And on another note, received the email today, the ramps from I-57 to 294 are opening tomorrow, that's what I was told. So, I don't know if anyone cares, but some people might want to go that way. So.
Did you know that the same ramp, you can go get on 294 South and you can get on 57 South? It's the same ramp.
Thank you, sir.
I didn't know that till I got on there the other day.
All right, anything else, Trustee Kilby?
Nothing tonight.
All right, thank you, sir. Trustee Crowley?
Just a couple things tonight, sir. First of all, we did have a vacancy in one of our crossing guards. Police department has interviewed and will be offering that spot to the person that they interviewed. I will be providing that information, even though it's just a part-time person, I will be providing that information to the board by next week. And second, Tony, do not correct me because I'm probably going to say it wrong. I'm waiting for a quote for a UPS battery. It's a backup battery supply for our server room. It is low and it needs to be replaced. I talked to the mayor and we'll be approving it.
That's who's speaking, the UPS unit?
Yes, the UPS, not the USP.
I know what that is actually.
What is it?
Uninterrupted power source. It's a backup battery.
Wow, I am very impressed, trustee. So as soon as I get that quote, I will be sending it to everybody, but it is beeping continually, so we are trying to get it replaced as soon as possible. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, ma'am. Speaking of Trustee Burback, big tall ladder over there, he got on that ladder this evening and got up there and fixed our, something,
Yep.
Our internet.
access point. So, a hard-working board up here.
Glad that they left the ladder from the last time.
We're just going to keep it there.
I'm very impressed with
Seems
each
like
and
a
every
good
one of
idea
you.
right now.
Very impressed with each and every one of you. All right, Attorney Valdez.
Yes, you have already been updated with regard to the Costner property by Trustee Caveney. She gave a little bit more information than I would have, but I agree with her assessment as well as outside counsel Caitlin Sherrill's assessment. And in closed session, we can have a discussion as to where the board will go from there, and we'll let our filings express what our intention is. In addition, you will see a substantial bill for legal services regarding the firefighters' appeal of the ULP denial remand, as well as the Aunt Martha's fee petition. The Aunt Martha's fee petition will be resolved once the judge gives his decision, hopefully sometime within the next 30 days or so, and obviously sometime at the end of October or maybe into the middle of November, we'll be proceeding to a hearing on the firefighters' ULP, and hopefully the work that we've already done and been successful with the arbitrator and with the administrative law judge will make the billing smaller for the hearing before the administrative law judge. And then once we get rid of those two items, hopefully, and I fully anticipate that the legal bills will be substantially reduced going forward from there. And finally, the appraisal for the Ray Day property is in. I sent it to you back on August 22nd. I am prepared for any direction that you have with regard to putting the property up for sale, if that's what the village board's prerogative is. And that's all I have.
Let's, can we get that on the agenda for discussion in 2 weeks? The Ray Day Lodge appraisal and discussion? Thank you, ma'am.
Can that be done in closed session?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, not the part about whether we're going to sell it, but setting the price for it in those matters can be done in closed session.
Okay.
That's one of the exceptions under the Open Meetings Act, is negotiations for real estate.
Okay. So, do we need a closed session that evening for?
We do, but to Trustee Killy's point, the part about whether we should sell it or not should be done in public. Once we start talking about how much we should charge, what we can get for it, all of those things, closed session.
We'll put it on just in case.
Yeah, thanks. Anything else?
No, I was done.
Oh.
I get to go again?
Wow, no.
You spoke more than.
All right, I don't have anything under my business except to inform the board that I am in receipt of the Payment Service Network, or PSN's, service agreement to allow us to charge for credit card users. I just received it today on my desk. I'm going to ask Ms. Harris to scan it in and email it to all of you, including the village attorney, so they can all look at it. And I'd like to get, I know we were supposed to get this done September 1st, but I think we can hold off for a couple weeks and get it right. So we can get that on the agenda for discussion at our next committee meeting in 2 weeks. That's all I have. Clerk Moskal.
I just have two items, two block party requests, one of which was on board docs. We have a request for the 14800 block of Kildare for this Saturday from at 4:30 p.m., I believe. Sorry, 12 to 8 p.m. And the second one is for Saturday, October 1st, and the 14900 block of Lawndale. That one is from 12 to 8 p.m. Does any board members have any issues with those? Any concerns?
Everyone is invited to the 148th and Kildare block party.
It appears everyone is invited to the Lawndale block party as well. So we will get these out. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Seeing there's no further business coming before the board, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.